Hey gang, Jake here, and I hope your socks are on because I'm about to blow them off in 3, 2, 1. Did you know that Fire Emblem's representation in Smash is controversial?
Lies! 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 Is this some kind of twisted joke?
You may not realize that some people dislike the way Fire Emblem is represented, probably because they've been so subtle the last few years, but it's true. In all seriousness, I think the way that Fire Emblem is repped in Smash is a really interesting topic. It's a series that's struggled with negative reception by the larger community pretty much since Lucina and Robin were revealed for Smash 4. Between Lucina ending up receiving her own character slot, Roy and Corrin both debuting in Smash 4's DLC, and Byleth's unfortunate placement as a DLC character, the series has struggled to maintain positive PR in the eyes of most Smash fans. However, whether you love or hate the series, I think it's safe to say that the current roster proportion is unsustainable. Whatever's next for Smash Bros., I think it's safe to say that we can expect most of Ultimate's roster to be cut, and Fire Emblem's lineup of characters who haven't been the face of titles for years is a pretty likely place to start. But despite that, Nintendo and Intelligent Systems clearly have a lot of love for the legacy of this series, and I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to expect them to just abandon the larger part of that legacy. Which leaves us with a question. How can we cut down on Fire Emblem reps in Smash while still showing reverence and love for the series as a whole? I think the answer lies in the Fire Emblem community's favorite toothpaste salesman, Alear. But before we get to that, I've got one other thing I want to discuss that's important to the pitch. Which Fire Emblem characters should come back for the next Smash? Now, obviously this is a highly subjective issue, and far be it from me to act like I have the objective best idea for this, but for the sake of this pitch, I'm going to expect to get two characters back for the next Smash game. Marth and Marth. As much as I love characters like Roy and Ike, and even if I could see them coming back, I wanted to go into this pitch assuming we'd have a clean slate on our hands. If you're not happy with that, I totally understand, and I'd love to hear which characters you expect to see come back, but from now I'm working on the basis that we get Marth back to represent the classic games in the series, and Lucina to represent the renaissance of the series. On top of that, I want to see both get some adjustments for next game. For Lucina, I'd love to see her get a taunt that has her put on her iconic mask, and leave it on until she either loses a stock or re-inputs to take it off. As for changes involving both of them, alternate costumes based on some of their variants in Fire Emblem Heroes could be really cool. Most of all though, I want to see them get new final smashes. The critical hits are creative, and I think they'd be a nice flourish I'd like to keep for the series, but as the be-all end-all attacks for both characters, I think we can do a little better. For Marth, we'll give him access to Lodestar Rush, his Engage skill in Fire Emblem Engage. After an opening attack similar to that of K. Rool or Ridley, Marth will overwhelm the opponent with a series of graceful slashes, before rounding off with one powerful critical hit that retains the sound design and visual flair of Marth's current final smash. For Lucina, I'm thinking we give her Robin's pair-up, with either Robin or Chrom appearing to help absolutely demolish the competition before Lucina finishes them off with yet another critical hit of her own. With all that out of the way, let's get into the actual point of the video. The Divine Dragon guided by the Emblems, Alear. This character's got an interesting history within the fandom. The first time Fire Emblem fans were introduced to this design was actually in a leak from the summer of 2022, which tons of people discredited because the design is pretty out there. Even upon reveal, Alear's design was pretty endlessly clowned on for sticking out compared to the rest of Fire Emblem's lords. Which makes sense, honestly, considering it was handled by Mika Picasso, an artist who's known for designing a variety of VTubers. Given time to warm up to the character though, I think it's reasonable to say that the community has really started to like Alear. They've proven themselves as one of the most immediately enjoyed self-insert lords in the series, and out of all of them, I think it's safe to say they've got the most moveset potential. For those of you who aren't familiar, Alear is a divine dragon and the protagonist of Fire Emblem Engage. In Engage, characters can use tools called Emblem rings to draw on the strength and experiences of past heroes. These boosts can shape the tide of battle, and as the only one who can draw on the full strength of the emblems, no one's more qualified to wear them into battle than Alear. Alear's usual emblem ring is the Ring of the Hero King. As such, upon starting a battle, Alear will work with Emblem Marth to use his specials. For the neutral special, they'll use Shield Breaker, for the side special, they'll use Dancing Blade, and for the up special, they'll use Dolphin Slash. But the down special is where things get interesting. Instead of borrowing Marth's counter, Alear will remove Marth's emblem ring and be presented with 4 different emblems to call upon. Each of these will change Alear's specials, and interweaving them to maximize your results will be the key to victory. When using the Ring of the Radiant Hero, Alear will get access to Eruption, Quick Draw, and Ether. The Ring of the Crux of Fate grants access to Dragon Fang Shot, Dragon Lunge, and Dragon Ascent. The Ring of the Instructor lets Alear use Fail Not as a neutral special, Emir as a side special, and Eredbar as an up special. Lastly, the Ring of the Caring Princess works a little differently. This ring will grant access to Thunder, Arcfire, and Elwind, but unlike when Robin uses these attacks, we won't adapt a weapon durability mechanic. Instead, in order to generate risk for these powerful attacks, we'll reference the magic system for Celica's home games, which means that using spells will build percent for Alear. These attacks will be strong, but they'll only come in exchange for putting your own stocks at risk, so you'll have to think carefully before using them. Giving one character access to this many specials might be a lot to ask, and I absolutely wouldn't be hurt if we didn't see this, but if the team did decide to go for it, I feel like this could instantly make Alear one of the most unique and compelling fighters on the roster. Before we continue further, I want to give a massive spoiler warning for the story of Fire Emblem Engage. From this point forward, there will be discussion and footage featuring abilities Alear receives very late in Engage's story. If you haven't played the game and you're considering doing so, this may be the appropriate point to bow out. For those of you who have already beaten Engage or just don't mind spoilers, let's discuss the remainder of Alear's toolkit. Other than having access to one of the most bonkers lineups of special moves on the roster, Alear's kit will be relatively straightforward, with one slight twist. Something that sets Alear apart from Smash's lineup of lords is their proficiency in martial arts. Upon reclassing to a Divine Dragon, Alear gets access to a litany of hand-to-hand attacks in their own personal fighting style, Dragon Fist. So we'll incorporate it into their moves, including their smash attacks. For the side smash, we'll pull from Alear's critical hit animation when using Dragon Fist, featuring a 1-inch punch that cracks shields as well as it cracks skulls. For the down smash, we'll have Alear swing their sword Liberation, covering an arc around their lower body. For the up smash, we'll have Alear swing their leg in a powerful overhead kick that causes their full body to rotate. The aerials will involve a combination of swordplay and martial arts. For the Nair, we'll have Alear perform a sword swing leading from the front of their body, over their head, and back to the sword's initial position. The Fair and Barrel both feature side kicks, with the Fair being one powerful kick and the Bear being 2 kicks of medium strength. The Dare will be very unconventional for a sword fighter, with Alear slashing downwards in a dive motion that lasts until Alear touches the stage or the blast zone, or cancels out to recover. For the Up Air, we'll have Alear perform a slash leading from the front of their body to the back in a graceful motion. For the grounded neutral, Alear will perform a quick combo involving an upward slash of the sword, a palm fist, and a downward slash in the same direction. The side tilt takes the form of a single sword strike, based on Alear's combat animations from in-game. For the down tilt, we'll have Alear stab downwards to throw off opponents' footwork. The up tilt entails, shocker, another upward slash from forwards to back. For the dash attack, Alear will throw a quick stab before sliding across the ground. For the grabs and pummels, there's not exactly much to pull from, but considering Dragon Fist fighting relies mainly on small exertions of force, I'd love to see some throws where Alear redirects the opponent's momentum to send them flying. For the taunts, we'll have one where Alear flings their sword into the air before catching it and chuckling, one where they proclaim,
"I'm guided by the Emblems,"
while they clench their fist and the active emblem appears to cheer them on, and one where they admire their sword before shouting that this time, victory will be theirs. For the victory animations, we'll feature one where Alear and Marth strike a pose similar to this one from the prologue, one where Alear walks away from the battlefield to meet with the royals of Helios, and one where they let out a hearty yawn before resting their head on their sword for a quick nap. Finally, to round out Alear's moveset, we have the final smash, Bond Strike. For this attack, Emblem Marth will dash forward, launching any opponents into a scene resembling the interior of Lethos Castle. From here, Alfred, Diamant, and Tamara will unleash a barrage of slashes at the opponent, before Ivy uses a fire spell to light up the scene, and Alear and Emblem Marth appear through the flames for a synchronized slash, launching opponents away and automatically killing at 100% or above. To round out Alear's portion of the pitch, let's cover their alternate costumes. Unlike Robin, Corrin, or Byleth, we'll have female Alear be the default skin, with alternates 3, 5, and 7 being based on Tamara, Ivy, and Alear's red form from the opening cutscene. Alt 2 will be Alear's male variant, with 4 and 6 referencing Alfred and Diamant, and Alt 8 being slightly unorthodox as a reference to Alphonse, the Lord of Fire Emblem heroes. As for other aspects of Engage that we can represent in the next Smash game, I think we've got to see this Omniel as Fire Emblem's newest stage. We'll set the battle in the courtyard, with a wide open view of the Somniel's Cafe and the Elogian skies beyond. We could also see some cameos, everything from the Emblems to this game's royals to some sillier picks like Kagetsu or Chloe. But honestly, there's only one that I'd consider necessary, and that would be the beloved mascot of the Somniel, Sami. As for the music, there's quite a bit from the Fire Emblem games that I'd love to see, but I think this list catches most of my big wants. If I'm missing anything, please feel free to let me know, but I'd be pretty happy with this lineup. For a new assist trophy, part of me was tempted to pitch a Pokeball-style item based on the Bredablick from Fire Emblem Heroes, which would let you summon a variety of Fire Emblem characters to fight with you. But I think that might be a little much. If I had to just pick one new Fire Emblem assist, I think I'd have to go with Anna. If you're not familiar with Anna's deal, she's a running character that's gone on from Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon all the way to Engage, and it's frankly a little silly that she wasn't the first assist Fire Emblem got. As for which Anna I'd choose, I'd probably shoot for the one from either Engage or Heroes. Either way, their whole deal would involve charging forward and knocking opponents around with a massive battle axe, and making sure to leave the bill for you when they disappear. As for collectibles, Engage has too many iconic cast members to choose from, so I'd like to bundle 3 or so characters into each spirit. We could see one based on the Dragon Scions with Clan, Fram, and Vander, the Firenese troops with Alfred, Saline, and Chloe, the Brodian troops with Diamant, Alchrist, and Jade, the Solmic Sentinels with Timera, Figado, and Marin, the Illusion troops with Ivy, Hortensia, and Rosado, and some final few based on Vale, Sombron, and Queen Lumera. Lastly, let's round out the pitch by covering a potential boss for Fire Emblem. As fun as Engage's 4 hounds were, I'd like to see a character with a little more history, so for my boss, I'd pick the Black Knight from Path of Radiance. He's an iconic villain from Ike's home games who's built like a brick shithouse and takes a ton of punishment to even scratch. He'd be a super fun test of skill at the end of Classic Mode, and I'd love to see him show up in some capacity. And with that, I think I've finally covered everything I have to pitch about Smash Bros. And Fire Emblem's future. I want to thank you guys for watching. This was a super fun video to work on, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I also want to thank everyone for the insane reception of last month's Sonic Frontiers video. I honestly never expected it to become my most watched and liked video so far, and I'm so grateful that y'all engaged with it. If you're a new subscriber from that video, which should be a fair chunk of you considering we hit not 400, not 500, not 700, but 600 subscribers, I hope you like what you see and stick around for more. With all that out of the way, I'm gonna go put one more log on the fire and hit the sack. Peace out.